Living the good fat life with your host Karen and Sherri. They'll help everything align for your body, soul, and mind. The good fat life. Whether change comes slow or dramatically, the good fat life will help you sort things out organically.
Happy Thursday.
Oh my gosh.
It's hard not to smile when you hear the song, isn't it?
It is. I was actually singing it yesterday.
I know. It's fun, right?
Yeah. What a day. I mean,
I know. What a day. It's only 11, right? It feels like 3 days in a row already.
It does. And we started the early morning, wee hours of the morning with no power. And it's just so interesting when you have no power, how much... you have no water.
I know. Yeah.
And toilets.
Yeah. My favorite thing is when you have no power, you go, well, I have no power, so I guess I'll do laundry. And then you go down to do laundry and go, I can't do laundry. And then you go, I guess I'll microwave soup. Well, I can't do that either. And then all of a sudden you do all these things, and all of a sudden when the power comes on, the microwave's going, your washer's going, you're like, soup's ready.
Yeah. Or because then you have no power, it's like, oh, well, I can't do the things that I normally do, so I'm going to go do the things that need to get done. And but they all require power too.
Right. And who can do them in the dark, right?
So, anyways, well, so just want to take a moment and show the new magazine, right? All About Play, which has been such a fascinating journey. I will just have to say it's changed my life in so many ways. And yesterday I was listening to a podcast on doing a 4-day work week. And there's so much research that just shows is that when people get rested, they work so much more efficiently and so much better. So anyways, and I thought that fit into play too. So
yeah, and when you play, you feel rested. I mean, sometimes you play hard and it's physical, but you feel rested mentally when you play.
Right.
So that's a whole other thing. So that's amazing, And I can't believe how many, I didn't realize how many philosophers and theologians talked about play. I had no idea. Did you?
No, and it's not just like recent. They've been talking about it since like Plato.
Yeah,
since time began, and
no pun intended.
Yeah. Anyway,
yeah. So I guess that's why Plato's called Plato. I don't know.
Like Play-Doh.
Yeah, exactly.
That's hysterical.
But you can't eat Play-Doh. But what you can eat, right, is what we have from the Freedom Kitchen, right?
Yes, that's right.
Like that segue?
I like that. That's brilliant, Karen, as usual. And so, we have a guest with us today, Lisa Jendza, and she's been doing some amazing things, and we're really excited to talk about it in the Freedom Kitchen. But she comes from a long history of health and wellness, interest in health and wellness through her own journey, and was in the corporate world as an executive and in IT, and brings all that with her.
Awesome.
And so it's really fun. I think it's just so much fun to see how people evolve, right? And so when I see college students or young people today, it's like, oh, I stress I have to pick something from the rest of my life. And it's like, no.
Yeah. Well, that's not even a thing anymore, I don't think. It's just for, in the moment we're picking things. But, it's interesting. She's doing Freedom Kitchen. I've actually been in kitchen jail because you know how I cook. My family's like, you are now in kitchen jail. Do not go in the kitchen. You're not allowed in the kitchen.
Oh, that's hysterical.
Yeah, I'm not a very good cook. So
let's introduce Lisa.
Hi, Lisa.
How do you pronounce it?
Jendza.
Jendza. Okay, great. So welcome. I'm sorry.
So the D is silent. Jendza.
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much. So
thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course.
So where do you want to start, Lisa? You get to pick.
Well, I think there's this story of inspiration that most people can relate to, or hopefully it can inspire somebody. And that is, no matter where you are in life, you can always start over. And regardless of where your health is, it can always improve. We have these beliefs that we are stuck in our careers. So as you mentioned, I had 25 years in corporate, and I've had many clients tell me, you don't understand. Once in insurance, always in insurance, or I've only ever done IT or whatever. And I made a complete pivot and change because of my own health crisis. So I did 25 years in IT, and then I bought a wellness spa.
Wow.
And started doing health coaching. And then I've had a commercial kitchen, a cooking school, and a number of other businesses, which has sort of led me to this Freedom Kitchen. But it doesn't matter what you've done. You can always reinvent yourself and do something different and do what you're called to do. And the reason that I started doing that was to reclaim my own health. And I've now helped thousands of people reclaim their own health. And my classes started out as detoxification classes. I've been teaching detox now for 13 years. Mm-hmm. And if COVID taught us nothing else, it's that we live in a really toxic world and we have to detoxify. Mm-hmm. But my classes always ended up in the kitchen. And maybe it's just because I'm Italian and we feed people. Mm-hmm. But somehow my classes always ended up in the kitchen, and I ended up with a cooking school and then ended up teaching kids. And so it's been an interesting journey. And now I'm creating a whole community called Freedom Kitchen.
Well, tell us what Freedom Kitchen is.
Freedom Kitchen is a virtual kitchen. It is the place to gather to solve one of the biggest problems that we have in life right now, and that is food. The question is always, what is healthy? And there's so much information. We're living in the information age. So you could go Google, what diet should I be on, or what's healthy, and you're going to get a myriad of answers. Mm-hmm. And that's because every body is different, and there's no one right answer for anybody, for everybody. And so there's a lot of questions about what is healthy, what should I eat, where should I source my food? And then when we look at the food ecosystem, we have systemic problems with soil and seeds and
now distribution.
So this is
cost.
A community that we're bringing together to solve these big problems.
Yeah, I thought you said when you're solving the big question is what should we make for dinner? I thought that was the big. Like what? I don't know what to make for dinner. I feel like that boggles my mind most days. So I get that too.
Yes, Karen, that is probably like the number one question on everyone's mind on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm. I know on Facebook people are like, "What are you making for dinner?" I have no idea, right? Like, or you ask your family, "What do you guys want for dinner?" And everyone's just like, "I don't know." Yeah, it's weird, right?
So I realized when my kids were like probably teenagers, and we would go out to dinner a couple times a week. And what I realized is like was to have food. It wasn't like to have a treat to go out. It was like that's how we got food. Because there might have been nothing in the house that would have made a meal, or I just didn't have the bandwidth to think about what to make.
Yeah, I'm going through that now too because I'm single now for the first time, and I have joint custody of my kids. So it's like they come over to my house. They're like, "Mom, you have like cookies, a piece of bread, and some milk." And it's like, especially living on my own, it's like, well, I don't even know what to have in my refrigerator. And when they come there, it's like, okay, we just go out or we buy groceries when they're there. But food is really so important, and it's getting more challenging every day with all the different the things with distribution and cost, and people are pivoting. And you talked about detox, which is so important. Like people don't realize that is so important. If we don't dump that stuff out, really, you can eat healthy, but you really got to get rid of a lot of that stuff first, right? Kind of start from a baseline. So can you talk to us about the detoxing?
I sure can. That really is where all of this started, was I needed to detox my own life. So our body is a self-healing organism, and it naturally detoxifies itself. So don't let anyone tell you that they can detox you, and the detox doesn't come in a box. So
I love that, Lisa. That just always resonates, right?
So I really want people to understand that it is their body that detox. We just have to work with our body. And we tend to, as a society, do things that are very counterintuitive. And so when we try to cram a detox into a weekend and we go buy a kit, that's counterproductive. That's actually making our body work harder and not lessen the load on our body. Make sense?
Yeah. So tell me, how does the body naturally detox? Because I don't think people realize that, and I certainly don't.
Yeah. So as an example, when we get sick, our core body temperature elevates. It's called a fever, and it kills the foreign organisms in the body. And then what happens when the fever breaks is we break into a sweat, and that's the body pushing the dead stuff out that it killed. So our body will kill foreign organisms in the body, and then it moves them out through urination, defecation, perspiration, and through breath work. So we can open those detox pathways. Like at my spa, we did sauna therapy, and I taught people induce an artificial fever. As long as you don't already have a fever. If you have a fever, you shouldn't get into a sauna. And there's a couple contraindications like heart disease and type 1 diabetes. But otherwise, sauna therapy is a phenomenal way on a regular basis to aid your body's natural detoxification pathways. It knows what to do. There's a number of things we can do. Jumping up and down on a rebounder. I had those as well, and a vibration plate.
What is a rebounder?
The little trampoline.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
That's going to move lymph. So your lymphatic system doesn't have a pump. Your circulatory system actually has a pump, your heart, but your lymphatic system does not. So things are very sluggish, and your lymph nodes are intended to pull waste out of the body, and then things sit in the lymphatic system. So a rebounder, jumping up and down, vibration therapy, or dry skin brushing, which you do on dry skin.
What's dry vibration therapy? I've never heard
of
that
before. So Power Plate. Power Plate is the brand that I had at my spa, but there's a number of different companies that sell a vibration plate, and it literally vibrates, and it makes it aids with lymph drainage, but it makes all of your muscles involuntarily contract because they're attempting to stabilize.
Oh, interesting. Is it good for your core too? You stand on it and you have to hold your core?
Yeah, it's good for all your muscles.
Can you lay on it if you're not stable? I am single. No, I'm kidding. Sorry. I got a little blue. I'm kidding.
You can. Yeah. You can.
I mean, like if you're not stable, can you lay it, like put it under your back or something if you're not able to stand on it?
Yeah, and we have to look at how toxins get stored in our cells and in our body, so that vibration can actually help to move them, just like massage can.
Do you guys remember those machines? I forgot what they were called. My grandma had one. You stood on it. Was looked like sort of a treadmill, but had a big like rubber band, and it shook the heck out of you. Did that do anything?
Yeah.
Yeah. Was that kind of like the same principle?
Same concept.
Yeah. Me and my brother and my sister used to get on it together and just jostle the heck out of each other. Yeah. Those are fun. Well, that's cool.
So talk some more about that. So if we wanted to just start a detox support at home now, we could jump up and down, like do jumping jacks or something, or order a rebounder. And what else?
Yes.
Fever.
The sauna, right? The heat. Okay.
What about like hot showers? Does that help?
It can be a hot shower, hot bath.
Okay.
You want to break a sweat.
Okay.
And then hot and cold hydrotherapy. So you go from hot to cold. So you can do hot in the shower, like, 30 seconds hot and then 30 seconds cold, 30 seconds hot, 30 seconds cold.
Ooh. Would this be something you do in the morning or the evening, or does it really matter?
It doesn't matter. A lot of people find this gives them energy. So you'll have to see if it causes you to have more energy. You may not want to do it in the evening.
Okay.
Cool.
That's probably just personal.
Yeah, I'm going to try that. Sounds like an easy fix.
So one of my friends, she's doing an apothecary, right? And so one of the things we were talking about was making our bathrooms into an apothecary. And I started thinking about that. It's like, how cool is that to be making space in our home to do this self-care in a really intentional way?
Well, yeah.
So you
like
have
being your own alchemist.
Yeah. So you have your dry body brush, right? And I mean, how long do you need to use that, before you get into a shower? Or that's what I've always understood, is that you do the brush before you get into a shower.
Before you get into the shower.
Yeah.
Because your skin's your largest organ. So your largest organ, and it's also your largest detoxifying organ. So often I'll quiz groups because they never get that. They always think it's their liver. But your largest detoxifying organ is your skin. And so once you dry skin brush, you're going to exfoliate, you're going to move lymph, but you're actually excreting through your skin. And so you want to shower after you brush, otherwise you'll itch all day.
Oh, yeah.
Got it. But Lisa, just sometimes I can just go like brush. Oh, I did that. I mean, how
do you do it from head to toe? Is there a process?
You start feet up, feet up
from the feet up,
and then
you're following the lymphatic system.
Okay.
Thoracic valve is here. So you're always brushing. Just think that you're brushing towards the heart because you're also moving blood at the same time. And we never pull blood away from the heart. We return it to the heart. So you're doing the same thing with the lymph. You're moving everything towards the thoracic valve, towards the heart.
Is that something you can do every day? Okay.
Yes.
Great.
It's like brushing our teeth, right? So we brush our teeth every day. And I say we need to implement detoxification methods. And so just being in communion with your body, asking your body what it needs, doing hydrotherapy, dry skin brushing, and taking some of these steps, you're actually giving the body permission. So I'm also a yoga instructor, and this is going to maybe be a good analogy. When you go to stretch into a pose, you know how your muscles lock up? They'll lock up to protect so you don't tear something. And so we tell you in class, just keep breathing and the muscle will soften. And as your body trusts that you're not going to tear something, it releases. It's the same thing with detoxification, which is why in my 3-month program, I always say, trust the process. You will see amazing results, but it depends on how long it takes your body to start releasing.
Wow. Well, talk to us about how the breath detox, because that's so important. And anyone can breathe. I mean, right? Yeah.
we all
don't breathe correctly.
Okay.
So in pranayama, with our yoga teacher training, and in pranayama, we learn a lot of different breath work activities. Most of us don't breathe properly. I wasn't doing diaphragmatic breathing. Most of us, I was just talking to a doctor on the Biology of Summit. If you have ever caught your breath and you've went, that's trauma. So we've all suffered traumas. At some point in our life, especially at my age, we've caught our breath a time or two. And that gets stuck. And then we breathe shallow. And when we breathe shallow, that induces anxiety. So is it that we breathe shallow because we have anxiety, or we have anxiety because we're breathing shallow?
Let me ask you this. If you do like that, and then you start breathing shallow, is it sort of a cumulative? And then the next time you're starting at even a less deeper base, and it like builds up?
I would posit that every time we've caught our breath in life, that we have stored that memory in our cells. So we have cellular memory of that shock or that trauma. And they can be, little traumas, big traumas.
I think I did it 3 times this morning already.
Yes, it's been that kind of a day. That kind of a day. So, oh my gosh, Lisa, this is just fascinating. So then talk about, there's so many things to ask you. Talk about the summit, because that's coming up and that's incredibly exciting. So let's tell our listeners about that.
So as a health coach, I've been teaching for 13 years, and I'm connected to a number of different health coaches, and we're all teaching, various facets of breath work, detoxification, how to change your diet and lifestyle. I was able to reverse all my chronic ailments. And if you look around, we all know someone with disease, but disease is dis-ease. It's just unease in the body. We have to find what's causing the interruption or the disruption to ease. And so I've had this thought for this community for a number of years. And what solidified that was having a cooking school and having now hundreds of kids in my program. And these kids really need to have, they need to have a more conscious parent and adult role model. And so by having Freedom Kitchen and bringing together the emerging foods with the health coaches and more classes, having more education available, we're helping the next generation. I've always worked with middle-aged women like myself, and I still coach and teach, but my focus now is the legacy, right? Like, what are we leaving for the next generation? And so Freedom Kitchen is more about freedom for the next generation. And so the more I've researched this as a business coach, there are 10 companies that control all of our food. And so I could name those big companies. We all know who they are. Mm-hmm. They actually sit on each other's board of directors, or if you start looking through the boards of directors, there's holding companies and they have a person on each of those boards. So is it 10 companies or is it really one conglomeration that controls all of our food?
Interesting.
And they also now control the seeds. So they've patented the seeds and modified them.
Oh, that's scary. Yeah, wow. It's interesting.
Yeah. So I keep going, like I'm going upstream. If I have a bunch of sick people here who have type 2 diabetes, autoimmune issues, arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, Hashimoto's, dementia, we have to try to prevent that. Mm-hmm. And so we have to get to the kids. So I now do cooking classes and health education for the kids. And would you believe our kids actually want to eat healthy?
Oh, I do. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They do. And when they're given the knowledge and the education, they make the healthy choice. It's amazing. These kids have taught me so much. So then you have to go, upstream further and say, well, what options do the kids have? Well, there are emerging healthy food brands, but most of them will never succeed because this is very much a closed system and our food system is a monopoly. And so when I was looking for healthier options for the kids and researching emerging healthy brands, which is one of the fastest growing businesses right now, emerging healthy food brands, but 89% of them will fail. Only 11% of food brands succeed.
Very sad.
And then you see so often they get bought up by the big. If they do succeed, they get bought up, and then the recipe changes.
It goes back to the system. Wow.
So I love what you're doing, and at Good Fat Life, we're speaking the same language, right? Mm-hmm. And so we're really excited to support you in the summit, and any way that we can, so that people have those healthy choices.
Yeah. Are you taking it sort of do you have a goal to take it like the next step further, like teach kids how to farm and grow? Is that part of the plan?
Yeah. So my classes right now are all in the kitchen. Mm-hmm. This community of health coaches I'm bringing together, I fully intend on having other health coaches build out these classes. I'm working with Holistic Mom MD. She's Dr. Mom. She's got 4 boys, and she's also doing cooking classes with kids and for kids. Katie Kimball is doing classes for kids. I believe we're going to see, once we create awareness, we'll see more of an emphasis and a focus on helping the kids expand. I personally am not the person to teach gardening because I'm not the greatest at it. I'm still learning. But yes,
I think it's canning and stuff seems like it would be a really good skill for kids to learn that. That's one thing I do know how to do. I actually did learn that.
Yeah, I remember, but it was so much fun as a kid because we'd canned peaches and cherries and tomatoes.
It's a gathering, and everybody does it together.
It was such a gathering, right? Mm-hmm. It was a way. Of course, my family was hunters, and we'd cut our meat up on the kitchen table and make sausage and stuff. But it wasn't gross. It was so, like you said, you gathered in the kitchen, and it was such a rite of passage of the season, the changing of the season, right?
Mm-hmm. How do you?
We've lost that. We've lost the gathering in the kitchen, me included. So I worked in corporate for 25 years, and I fed my kids fast food every day. And I didn't turn my life around until my kids were in middle school. So I understand, and that's why I say this is a judgment-free zone. I help every client that comes to me and every family wherever they are, and there will be no judgment. And it's what is the next step that we can take, because we really are running out of time on this planet. So I don't know how much you know about our seeds all being modified and patented, and we don't have access now to many of our heirloom seeds. They've been literally taken from the farmers. They've been taken from us. Dr. Vandana Shiva is leading the worldwide fight in preserving our seeds. Dr. Zach Bush is doing the research on soil health, and the research on soil health says we have less than 60 harvests left on this planet. We're losing our pollinators. We're losing our bees.
I know.
We have to change. And so the Freedom Kitchen Summit is bringing together all of these experts to talk about these. We don't we may not see the ripple effect of the choices we're making. And that is what I want people to see. I want them to witness how we're able to change our health, change our life, change our environment through these choices that we make, so we can just become more conscious and mindful. Very similar to what I teach with detoxification. Just become mindful of what your body needs.
Talk to us about plant-based food, like the plant-based meat and stuff. Is that a good thing, or we don't know yet, or what is that something that's healthy for us, or is it still sort of manufactured? Or
yeah, I'm not a fan. I think that we're heading for an era of meat shaming. So here's what I teach. In my classes, I teach what all the diets mean, so people know what's being referenced when they hear paleo, keto, Mediterranean, vegan, vegetarian. I teach all those so they know the definition. Right. But then I tell people I'm on the Lisa diet. And so I don't pigeonhole myself or try to shoehorn myself into a diet. It's what my body needs at the time. If I need meat or protein, I eat it. If I don't need it, or I'm not feeling it that day, I might eat all plant-based.
How do you know if you need it or not? Is there a...
That is such a good question, because most of us have lost touch with our body. See, we're disconnected and we're up in our head. So this society that we live in is so left brain logical, and we're used to our parents telling us what to do, our teachers, our bosses, and our government, that we literally do not know how to tune into our own body anymore. And this is why people are like, just tell me what to eat. And I say, nope, I won't tell you what to eat. I take you through a process for you to discover what's right for you, because you're just looking for the next person. And this is why we're in the trouble we're in. So if you listen to this expert and this expert, they're going to give conflicting advice, because that's what worked for them and that's what worked for them. But that's not necessarily what works for you.
And that's so fascinating, isn't it? I love what you said. It's just so true. And you see it everywhere. People just tell me what to do, and that's what I'll do. And it just reinforces that disconnect.
They want to be an autopilot.
Right. That reinforces that disconnect. And that's the thing we like to say everything starts with good fat, because everybody, unless, you have no gallbladder or something, needs good fat, regardless of what diet that you're on or whatever. And it should be no judgment. It should be no judgment, but it should be educated. You should understand. And so what are some things that you're finding is helpful for people to just kind of get back in tune with themselves?
So the first thing I find is people need to unlearn, because there's been so much fat fear from the 70s and 80s.
Oh, yeah. Remember all those Snackwell cookies, all those fat-free cookies and everything in the 80s?
Yeah, you're fine if you eat those.
I ate 30 of them, but I don't think
we've got fat fear, and we've got some inflated or incorrect belief about grains being the best source for fiber. And there's so many misnomers that are propaganda. And I've just been watching the propaganda machine for the last decade. As cigarette sales dropped, we saw the media start pushing the red wine is good for you, wine is good for you. And I thought all they're trying to do is compensate for the declining cigarette sales, really, because wine is not good for you. And there are so many things that people want to grab. Well, I need my whole grains. Do you? I have type 2 diabetics that come to me. I have had everyone, I think, except for one, and that's only because she didn't do the whole program, reverse their type 2 diabetes in my 3-month program, because what they're being told, eat more frequently, eat whole grains, is just bad advice. And I don't know where that is coming from. I'm not going to get into why there's a propaganda machine. But when we get out of our head and stop listening to, but I was told I need to eat breakfast, and I need to eat 6 small meals a day, and I need to eat my whole grains, and I need to blah, 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 blah. It's like, whoa, just get out of your head a minute. And this has taken me a long time. I think that's what makes me a relatable teacher, because I've been there, done it, lived it.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to get out of my head and into my body. And I think that's why I ended up doing mineral body wraps for a decade, is so that I could get myself grounded. I was trying to help people get back in their body while I was getting myself back in my body. We have to simplify and tune into our body.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think Karen and I talk about that a lot too. It's like so much of what we educate of the articles and the things that we look for are things we need to know too. Right? It's because we're wanting to know.
The healers try to heal.
We're wanting to understand how to sleep better at night and how to
We're
eat
in the
better,
same boat.
right?
Yeah, we're learning too. We're just trying to figure it out.
It's like you, and that's been a fun part of the journey. We've learned so much, and also learned how much we don't know.
Yeah, and learned how hard it is to stay consistent, and how
the
we need support.
And support. The support thing is huge. The community of like you say, non-judgmental people that have knowledge but aren't trying to tell you to be a certain way, but helping you figure that out for yourself.
And not to be judgmental towards yourself, right? Because we torture ourselves if we don't look a certain way, or especially women, or that's how we sort of gauge if we're healthy or not, if we're look thin in our bathing suit, which is so silly, those kind of things. So that's a whole unlearning.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, societal conditioning. And that's really what we're trying to undo. I always said when I owned my wellness center and then my cooking school is I wanted it to be a safe place where come as you are and leave what no longer serves you. I just wanted everyone to come as they were. It was a judgment-free zone, and get what they needed and leave behind all that no longer served them. And I've come to learn that there's actually a term for that. It's called a sumatak space. And a sumatak space is a sacred space.
What is that? Space? So I got to write this down.
A sumatak.
How do you spell it?
A sumatak?
A sumatak, yeah.
Space. Oh, so it's a space of non-judgment and healing? Oh, I love that.
So when you have that, what you're talking about, Sherri, that like non-judgmental group to grow. This is why I don't even do one-on-one coaching anymore. I only do group, because I believe that there's far more energy held in a group. And this is why I've been wanting to do a community of health coaches, because we're all out there wanting to help more people. We've all walked the journey ourselves. If there's one group of people that's going to help change our culture and our society, it's going to be the health coaches. There's 250,000 of us now who identify as a health coach, but we didn't grow up wanting to be a health coach. We became health coaches because we had to solve our own health challenges. And so the people that I've met through all my health coaching programs, we're all nurses, teachers, attorneys, IT consultants. And this is like a second act for us. It's our second act in life. And it was because we had to get our own health back, so we know how to walk someone through it.
Well, thank
you. So we're
for
holding that space.
I'm sorry. Thank you for saying that, because I know so many times in my life, and I know other people have said it, like, I'm not going to go to the gym because everyone's in shape there and the trainer's going to judge me, and I don't want to go there because that person's perfect or whatever. And really it's because people went through their own journey. It wasn't like, oh, I'm perfect, I'm going to head to the gym. All these people that are trying to help you really, truly struggled with the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So people feel okay about going. People understand, and that's why they're there to help you, because they get it too. So don't let that hold you back.
Right. And I think there's something that's, I don't know, I mean, especially since COVID, I've been at 2 events this past week, and one was a graduation, and one was a networking group where we were able to actually meet in person for the first time. And I'm really close with both of those groups, but we hadn't gathered. And I mean, it's so hard to say the joy. And I will say that these groups are all very non-judgmental, right? The joy, you could feel the electricity in the air of just that connection. Like you were saying, not one-on-one, but with the group energy. It was palpable about how much people were just happy to be able to be connected with people again, but not just people, but people that they know, love, and trust. And to be able to be vulnerable. It's like, hey, this has been a challenge for me, or it's just so nice to be in this space, right? So.
Yeah. And don't you think that COVID, people really just sort of, I know when it first started, I was like, oh, this seems like a long snow day, so I'm going to eat all snow day food, like hot cocoa and this and that. And then before you know it, you've incorporated way more bad behaviors because you just lived through that sort of for a year. So there's even more detoxing and things we need to do because we were sedentary, sort of atrophied. I mean, so many more layers on top of what we were already dealing with.
Well, I will definitely speak to the layers. And the layers are that we need human connection. There's something to going to a yoga class and breathing with the whole room.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
It's breath work together. We synchronize. Our bodies actually synchronize. Our breath will synchronize with another person. That's how you can feel when another person is anxious, because our breath is trying to synchronize. Our cycles as women will synchronize when we work together and we're in close proximity to other women. Our cycles will synchronize. We are that much in tune with each other. And so when we have that separation, that was a trauma, whether recognized or not, and to varying degrees for different people. Mm-hmm. But that was a trauma that is now stored in everyone's body. There will be cellular memory of what happened the day that they first heard, or there will be something that they have stored. And that's our survival mechanism, right? So we've got trauma to process, and often we use food to process our traumas.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so it could be out of boredom, but also out of trauma. And what I would say is because of COVID, there's a number of wonderful things that we've gleaned. Hopefully we've gleaned who's good for us in our life and who isn't, because it did distance us from probably unhealthy relationships, or it brought light to unhealthy relationships.
Absolutely.
So when I talk to people about detoxification, I'm not just talking about food. I'm talking about we need to shed everything that no longer serves us.
And you're talking about what you listen to, what you read, what you watch, everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because we are programmed and we take in energy from these other sources. So hopefully we glean some insight about that during COVID and the lockdown. And it also gave us a time to do our internal work, because we have to do our internal work in order to make any difference in the world. Like how we show up individually is how we affect all of our relationships. And then I think there's also a heightened awareness now on health. At 13 years, I felt like I was pushing rope.
Yeah.
Like telling people, you have to detox, you have to detox. I know how toxic the world is. And then I had quit. I told God, I quit. I'm out. I'm not teaching this stuff anymore. And then COVID hit and suddenly my classes were full.
Yeah. So talk to us about what the internal work means. What do you mean when you say that? Because people might not get that.
Yeah. So the internal work are the drivers that might cause us to eat or to surround ourselves with negative people, or like if we have low self-esteem or self-worth, that's showing up in our relationships or how we treat our body. How we practice self-care is often equivalent to our self-worth. So if we're not practicing self-care, then we have low self-worth. We're not valuing ourselves. And so this is the type of stuff that comes up when we finally slow down. And everyone had the opportunity to really slow down. And so what comes up can be uncomfortable for people because it's their own inner stuff. They can't blame anymore the mother-in-law because they're not even seeing her. We're in lockdown. You're at home. You're with yourself. Quit blaming other people.
Yeah, that's like something, isn't it?
So, and one thing,
this is all you.
And you're talking, when you talk about self-care, that's because our whole theme has been around understanding what self-care really is. And that's been really interesting as well, because self-care is so much deeper than like getting a manicure. I mean,
it's everything.
Or everything, right?
It's everything.
It's
in every moment. Yeah.
And what you put in your kitchen is a form of self-care, and the thoughts you think, and all of those things. And so
And sleep. Sleep hygiene. People don't put enough importance in sleep.
Well, our
and play, right?
Yeah. And our society is kind of like, it's the busier you are, the more important you are or something. And it's like, so.
Is sleep one of the detoxifications as well?
Yeah, we definitely need proper sleep, and we need to be mindful of when the sun goes down. That's when melatonin's the highest. So, anyone who's working swing shift or midnights, like I completely empathize. I worked swing shift for years and it took a toll on my health. So there's, other things that they're going to need to do to compensate. But really, we need to try to go to sleep when the sun goes down and get up when the sun comes up.
That's pretty, I kind of do that anyway. I do go to sleep very early and wake up very early. Yeah.
So Lisa, if somebody wants to get a hold of you, where would they find you?
Yeah, Lisa@freedomkitchen.net is my email. And the Freedom Kitchen Summit will just be, freedomkitchensummit.com. That will be the end of August. Over 40 experts. I've amassed over 40 experts who are health coaches, doctors, naturopaths, homeopaths. I have some amazing people, like one of my idols, Natalia Rose. She lives in South Africa, and I just finished my interview with her for the summit. She is such a beautiful human being, such a beautiful person. So the journey that we're going to take people on through the summit is this person did it, so you can do it too. And then this is how, and this is why. And we even have segments on there like, I know better, but I can't seem to do better. We're going to address that. We're going to talk about detoxification, and we're also going to talk about the environment and the ecosystem. And each day we're going to end with some type of cooking segment or demo, and there will be a cookbook that comes out of this as well. I really want people to know they're supported. Now is the time. We can't wait any longer.
You're right.
Health is important, our health and the health of the earth.
And the group think is important, that we're all helping. The tribal mentality is very important, right? That's really important. So thank you for doing that.
And tipping that. Finding that tipping point. So, I just want to get some clarity just on the food summit. It starts, when does it start? August
25th.
25th. Okay. And so if you, are the sessions recorded? Will people be able to get to listen to the recordings afterwards if they can't be live?
Yeah. So there's going to be 5 days of interviews, over 40 experts. They'll be available for that week, and then there will be an encore weekend, but the recordings will be available for purchase, and a cookbook will be available for purchase as well.
Okay. Oh, that sounds great. We are so excited, and we're just so delighted to be able to support that and to support all the work that you're doing. It's just brilliant. And
thank you so much.
Yeah,
it's comforting to know you're out there doing that. Thank you.
And that's the thing, we just keep seeing over and over. It's not one, there's not one thing, right? It's not one person, one thing, one movement. It's collective. I hate that phrase. It takes a village, but the truth is, it does.
It
right?
really does. Yeah, it really does. Yeah,
it really does. And anything we can do to support, hey, we're on it, right?
Yeah, for sure. And be there for each other. And it's so important to help each other. It helps you when you help each other and think outside yourself. Yeah. And it's so easy to see other people making their mistakes. And so, and it's very easy to do. So in the group think, that's so helpful. So thank you so much for doing that and bringing people together and sharing your story with us. And I'm really excited about seeing the future of food and kids and the ripple effect of what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we ask all our guests before they go, what is something someone could do right now, right where they're sitting, to sort of change their thought process or their life, or something that could help them? They don't have to buy anything or do anything, but just something to think differently.
I always say start with detoxification methods, and it's hard to limit them to one, but I would say if someone could implement at least one thing that would be free or easy, it would probably be hydrotherapy. You could Google Wim Hof, WIMHOF.
That's very effective.
He has a breathwork exercise, and he also does cold immersion, and I love both of those. There's a number of different breathwork activities that I teach, but that would be one to start with, and there's tons and tons of videos about that. And what you're really doing is you're looking to shed just one layer to help you think more clearly. If I can get people to just shed one layer so that they can have more clarity, it's easier to make the next change and then the next change and the next change.
And that's like Doc Adam was saying too. Just do 1%. Just 1% change. Start where you are. And that's all okay, right? It's all
You have
okay.
to.
Right?
You have no other choice.
Right.
Yeah. And I think it's time for us to go start having our good fat life. Thank you so much, Lisa, for being here today. It's been very informative, and I look forward to seeing the future of food and
and the food summit.
And the food summit. Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you so much, you guys. Mwah.
Bye.